They always say home is where the heart is. But what they don't tell you is how much it hurts when someone takes that heart, tears it from the walls, and calls it just business. It wasn't a mansion. It wasn't even in the best part of the city. But it was ours. A 2-bedroom house with peeling paint, a noisy front gate, and a lemon tree in the backyard that we planted the week after our wedding. That lemon tree was my favorite part. It never gave fruit the first 2 years. His mother said that meant bad luck. I said it meant it was taking its time, just like us. She didn't laugh. She rarely did. Especially not at anything I said. Our marriage started with a rented apartment, a hand-me-down couch, and promises we couldn't yet afford to break. He used to bring me street flowers, kiss my forehead while I cooked, say, "Nina, we'll grow something beautiful here." And I believed him. We bought the house after our 3rd anniversary. My name wasn't on the deed. He said it was easier that way for the bank. I didn't push. Why would I? We were in love. At least I was. But love, I learned, doesn't always come with loyalty. And loyalty doesn't always survive. A powerful mother with a sharp tongue. And too much control. She moved in with us 6 months after we got the house. Just until her health improved, he said. I cooked for her, cleaned after her, adjusted my whole world, so she would feel safe. And still, nothing I did was ever enough. She criticized the way I folded laundry, said I was too soft for her son, too quiet, too emotional, too me. My husband started coming home later, started agreeing with her more, stopped defending me. At first, I tried harder, cooked more elaborate meals, wore red lipstick even when I was tired, pretended to be fine. Then one night, I found the eviction notice in the mail, but not addressed to us, just to me. They had transferred ownership to a trust, one I wasn't part of, one she controlled. I confronted him. It's just legal stuff, Nina. Don't overreact. I didn't scream, didn't beg, but something inside me cracked. Not loudly, quietly, like ice splitting under the surface. A week later, they told me I had until Sunday to leave. I had lived there for 7 years, and I was told to pack my life in silence, as if it were a guest overstaying its welcome. I remember walking out with my suitcase. The sky was gray, and it started to rain halfway down the street. My shoes were soaked, my body shaking not from cold, but from something worse. Invisibility. They didn't even watch me leave. Just shut the door, close the curtains. It wasn't just business. It was my life. And I promised myself, quietly, like a prayer, you may have taken my home, but I'll take back something you'll never expect. The apartment I moved into was on the 3rd floor of a building that always smelled like bleach and burnt toast. It had one small window that overlooked a parking lot, a radiator that hissed at night like it was angry, and creaky floors that reminded me, every single morning, that I was not in my house anymore. There was no lemon tree here. No warm yellow light on the kitchen counter. No porch light flickering with memory. Just blank walls and silence. At first, that silence hurt. It pressed on my chest at night, echoed in the space he used to fill. But after a few weeks, it became something else. Peace. With no one yelling. No one judging. No footsteps walking past my room like accusations. I could finally breathe. I took a job I never would have considered before. Customer service, midnights. Hard hours, cheap pay. But I was good at it. Turns out I'm better at calming angry strangers than I ever was at pleasing in-laws. Every night I saved a little. Cut out coffee. Took surveys online. Sold my old jewelry piece by piece. Especially the bracelet he gave me after our third fight. The one he called a peace offering. Funny name. It never brought me any. I started taking online classes. Business admin. Not because I wanted a job, but because I wanted to understand what they'd used to ruin me. I learned about trust funds, about LLCs, about foreclosure. And I started watching. Not stalking. Studying. My ex's company was flashy but shallow. One bad quarter, and everything would wobble. And that's what happened. 3 cancelled contracts. A lawsuit. And a market dip later. I saw the cracks. I saw her car go from new to used. I saw their Instagram stories slow down. And then stop. I never liked social media. But I checked that lemon tree like it was an old friend. Still there. Still growing. I passed by the house once. Not to spy. Just to remind myself that it existed. The porch light was off. The lawn uncut. The flower pots I had once filled with lavender were now chipped and empty. But the lemon tree. It was blooming. For the first time in years. Without me. And I smiled. Because it meant life goes on. Even when love doesn't. I whispered under my breath. I'll be back. But on my terms. And I walked away. With quiet footsteps. And a very loud plan. The first time I walked into a bank as someone who knew exactly what she was doing. I was wearing a thrifted blazer. And shoes that had carried me through months of humiliation. But my spine was straighter than ever. And my voice. It didn't shake anymore. I had learned. Every contract. Every clause. Every trick they used to move the house into her name. Without ever once looking me in the eye. Now I knew how to undo what they had done. But I didn't want just reversal. I wanted transformation. So I partnered with someone they despised. A former business rival of my ex-husband. Sharp-suited, ego-driven but effective. He didn't care about my personal reasons. He only cared that I had a strategy. I created a dummy corporation. Gave it a forgettable name. A shadow name. The less memorable I am, I told the lawyer, the more powerful I become. The house went into pre-foreclosure. I watched the letters come. Pink. Red. Bold. Urgent. And still they thought they could fix it. Refinance it. Outmaneuver the collapse. But pride is heavy. And it drowns fast. I attended the auction quietly. Front row. Not because I needed to be seen. But because I deserved to see. They weren't there. Cowards, I suppose. Or maybe they knew. That I wasn't just buying a house. I was reclaiming my voice. When the auctioneer called the final price. And the gavel hit the block. It felt like thunder in my chest. Sold. He said my LLC's name. But all I heard was, welcome home, Nina. I didn't cheer. Didn't cry. I simply stood. Adjusted my jacket. And walked out. Like a storm that had just passed. Leaving everything a little cleaner in its wake. The key was cold in my hand. New yet familiar. Heavier than I remembered. Or maybe I was just stronger now. I stood at the front steps for a full minute before turning the lock. Breathed in. Held it. Then finally, the door opened. The hallway smelled like mildew and broken promises. I could see faint outlines on the wall, where our wedding pictures once hung. There was still a scratch on the corner near the dining room. The one from when we moved in the table, and I insisted. We didn't need movers. Every inch of this place knew me. It was carved with memories I thought I'd buried. But they weren't dead. Just waiting. I didn't cry. I thought I would. I expected some flood of emotions. Some release after years of betrayal and rage. But instead, I felt still. I walked room to room. No music. No footsteps behind me. Just silence. I touched the windowsill where I used to grow mint. It was dusty now. But underneath the dust, I could still smell the ghost of something fresh. In the closet, I found old receipts. A pair of earrings that weren't mine. A single sock. All the pieces of a life that didn't want me in it. I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. I just packed it all neatly into a box labeled past. Not mine anymore. I stood under the lemon tree that night. It was taller now. Wilder. A few fruits hung low like small yellow lanterns. I placed a small stone plaque at its base. One I had made in secret months before. It read, "She came back. She chose peace. Because I didn't return to start a war. I came back to end one. And endings don't always come with explosions. Sometimes they come with soft earth. A spade. And a woman planting herself again. They told their friends I was dramatic. That I couldn't handle pressure. That I was never built for success. They sipped wine in my old kitchen, whispering myths about my weakness. And I let them. Because I knew something they didn't. I wasn't weak. I was recovering. Grief made me invisible for a while. I shrank into silence. Into routine. Into shame. But every night I stayed up working. Every legal form I read. Every penny I saved. Was building something. Not just a return. A resurrection. They thought I was gone. But I was just growing somewhere they couldn't see. Now I walk barefoot through my living room. No makeup. No tension in my shoulders. No pretending. I don't explain myself anymore. I don't shrink to fit their version of me. I look in the mirror and I see a woman who didn't just come back. She rebuilt the road that led her home. They lost a house. I found a voice. They lost control. I found my rhythm. They lost the lie. I found the truth. People still ask if I regret not fighting harder to keep the house. And I tell them, no. Because losing it showed me exactly who I am. When no one is looking. You took my home. You called it efficiency. Called it legal. Called it smart. But what you really meant was, I think you're too soft to fight me. You were wrong. You laughed when I left. Didn't even hold the door. Didn't even lie about why. You didn't see the pain in my silence. Didn't notice that I never begged. Because I was already planning. You thought I'd start over somewhere small. You thought I'd fade. Settle. Shrink. You thought power was a title. Or a deed. Or a last name. But power. Real power. Is the quiet woman who watches you burn what she built. And still learns how to build it again. Stronger. And this time without you. I didn't ruin your life. You did. I didn't destroy your name. You did. I just made sure. Everyone finally saw it. And now you walk past that house you used to own, wondering how I did it. Wondering when I stopped crying and started calculating. Wondering when the victim became the one writing the rules. The answer: the moment I stopped waiting for your apology. The moment I stopped needing your love to feel worthy. The moment I looked at the ashes and saw opportunity, not grief. I planted new flowers in the backyard. Fresh ones. Ones that bloom without needing to be watered every day. Like me. I open the windows wide now. I let the world see the life I rebuilt. No secrets. No fear. No shame. You took my home. So I took your illusion of power. And in its place, I built something real. My name is Nina Saavedra. And I didn't just win. I walked through the fire. And I came out gold.